Hello, hello, hello. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the owner of Apov Consulting, and I am going to be your host for this afternoon. While we are going to talk about how you get grants for women-owned businesses, So as you come into the room, say hello to me. Let me know what city and state you're coming in from. I'm in, wow, Northeast Ohio, where it is 51 degrees. And let me tell you, I am not complaining because if you know anything about Ohio, you know that there could be a foot of snow on the ground. So let me know where you're coming in from. Shout out your city or your state. All right, as you come into the room. And hey, we got, Naples. Let me tell you, I've been to Naples, Athena, so many times. It is so beautiful. I've been in Naples on my way to Marco Island. Hey, Candace from Tallahassee. Hey, we got DC in the house, Lynette. April. Hey, April. And welcome our neighbors to the north, Alberta, Canada. I'm so glad you're with us because everything that I'm saying today absolutely will refer to Canada. So there are great grants available in Canada. Hey, Philly. And we have Russellville, Kentucky. We've got West Virginia in the house. Thank you so much again. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the owner of Apov Consulting, LLC. And I'm going to be with you today just for about 75 minutes. And then we're going to do a fabulous Q&A where I am going to teach you how to get grant money for your women-owned business. And anybody who knows me know that this is a no fluff zone, okay? A no fluff zone. So we have so much information to get through, and say a prayer for us because we're using brand new technology today. So come through technology, come through. So the first thing I'm going to do is play a quick 30-second video, which is my TV commercial, and it will give you a little more information about me and what I do. And then we're going to get right into the webinar, but whatever you do, don't go anywhere. You stay until the end because we're going to do a fabulous Q&A, and I have a bonus for you. All right, so we are going to hit our videos and play our video. Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of Apov Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how Apov Consulting can help. All right, so that's just a little bit more about me and what I do and what I've been doing for the past 15 years. We're going to get started with our presentation now and to do just a little bit of housekeeping. So what I want you to do is there are going to be tons of questions, which is great. Put them into the chat or the Q&A. And at the end, we're going to do an in-depth Q&A. I like to answer all of your questions. So as I move along, don't be shy, okay? Put your questions into the Q&A in the chat. We're on a roll. We're going to get started, okay? Again, I'm Linda Peavy. I'm the owner of Apov Consulting, and I'm going to be your host for today. We're going to talk about how you, as a woman-owned business, can get grants. All right. We are off and running. So I want to make sure everybody's in the right room. So this is grant writing for women-owned businesses. But if you're a nonprofit, this is a place for you to be as well. All right. So a little bit more information about me. This is the 15th year of owning Apov Consulting, which is my marketing communications and mainly grants organization. And they call me the grants queen. Why? Because yes, I have not only written, I have secured over $17 million in grants and funding and business development for my clients over the past 15 years. And I have written everything from those requests for proposals to the scoring template. I've helped organizations build partnerships. And yes, I do grant writing workshops all across the country. and I'm the former executive director of a nonprofit. So if you are a nonprofit online, I know where you've been. So let me know, put into the chat whether or not you are a small business or a nonprofit, or what I'm finding is that there are a lot of for-profits that are starting nonprofit organizations, right? So if you're both, put both. So put either for-profit or nonprofit, or maybe you're even both. So put that into the chat, and I'm going to see like who's with me today. Who is with me today? All right, all right, all right. Yes, 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 yes. So let me know, are you a for-profit, nonprofit, or both? Into the chat, for-profit, nonprofit, or both. Yes, both. Small business, nonprofit, small business. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of both. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, a little bit more about my journey to being able to secure the $17 million. I used to be a marketing director, a publishing professional, and I got hurt. I had to come back home to Cleveland, literally came back home in a wheelchair. And when I got back to Cleveland, it took me 2 years to recuperate, literally. And after the 2 years, even after having like 20 some odd years of experience, I could not find a job. And so what did I do? I started LaPav Consulting. So let me know, for those of you who are for-profits, was this a dream of yours to always have a for-profit organization? Or maybe like me, it was just out of necessity, like it's something that you had to do. So let me know, whether or not it was a necessity or something that you had to do. So put into the chat, what was it for you? Was it a dream or was it out of necessity? But what it taught me how to do was truly to be resilient, right? So after I started my company, one of the first contract positions I had was for a nonprofit director. And in the first week of owning that position, I was called really into the board director's office, and I went into the office and I was told that I had to write a grant to save my position. Now, of course, they didn't tell me that like in the job interview, right? But all of a sudden, I had to write a grant. I didn't know anything about grants, right? So I had to write a grant to literally save my job and save my position. You know how so often we as women are called in to save the organization, to save programs. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about, where you as a woman, you've been called in to either save a project or a program, or sometimes the entire organization. So that's what I had to do. But guess what? I wrote the grant and I got the money, and I found out there is a connection between being able to seek and write grants and getting free money. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Free grant money that is available to you. But it is a process. I learned the process, and I'm here today to show you the process, right? What are we going to cover today? Why this class, 3 keys to funding, the philanthropic landscape, which is really important right now. Grant basics. How do you prepare to write? What do you write? How do you write? And how do you find that perfect funder? I'm going to talk a little bit about bid proposals, but how do you get that application noticed? And then we're going to talk about grant research. How do you research to find those funds? And then I'm going to give you a list of available money right now. Yes, you don't want to go anywhere. A list of available grant money right now. And then I have a bonus surprise for you at the end. So don't go anywhere. All right, why this class? Well, we know as women entrepreneurs, look, we need help with funding, but guess what? It shouldn't always have to be about a loan, right? We want free money. We want free grant money. But guess what? Grant writing is a skill, and it is a costly skill. So professional grant writers like me, we charge anywhere between $100 to $200 per hour to write a grant. But guess what? Why pay a grant writer when you can do it yourself? You can learn this skill because nobody's going to tell your story better than you, nobody. But you have to know the process. And I'm here to show you the process, right? Now, 2 different incidents completely changed the landscape of philanthropy. One was COVID-19, right? When COVID-19 happened, oh my gosh, so many small businesses had to close. I know you know an organization that had to shut their doors. I know I do. And we know that small businesses are the backbone of this country. Well, guess who took notice? Foundations took notice. Major corporations took notice, and they said, we have to do something about this. So guess what? They created grant funding for for-profit organizations, right? When you think of grants, you typically think of a nonprofit, but now there are millions of dollars available for-profit organizations, and especially women-owned businesses, because we were the hardest hurt, right? We were affected the hardest. And so now all of a sudden you have grants, free money for us for-profit organizations. So that's why there's so much money out here. And if you come across any of those COVID-19 grants, you really have to talk about how the pandemic affected you. Did you have to lay off employees? Did you have to fire employees? Did you have to close your doors completely? Did you have to pivot your organization? Those monies are still out there, but there are so many others, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the other incident was the George Floyd incident. When George Floyd was murdered, once again, foundations and major corporations said, this is crazy. We have to do something about the racial injustice in this country. And so you might have heard of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So now you have grant money, free grant money that is available, especially to minority-owned organizations, Black-owned organizations, women-owned organizations, right? Because they wanted to somehow address racial injustice in this country. And for them, one of the easiest ways to do it was to put money on it. And that's exactly what they did. But you know what? It's for our benefit. I've been in this business for 15 years, and I can tell you, I have never seen the amount of free grant money available to Black-owned organizations and women-owned organizations. But it's about the process, and that's what I'm going to teach you today. What do you need to know about grants? Now we're at grant basics. Well, grants are not paid back. So that's what you need to know. Now, and I'm just talking to nonprofits. If you are a nonprofit, you will need your 501c3, right? This is critical. You will need your 501c3. What is it? It is your tax-exempt charitable organization designation by the Internal Revenue Service, right? And it means that you don't pay taxes, but also any donors that provide money to you, they can write that money off as a tax deductible donation. Now, why is it important if you're seeking grants? Because you need to have your own 501c3, because most foundations require as a nonprofit that you have the 501c3. You don't want to use a fiscal agent. A fiscal agent is an organization that already has their 501c3, and they're getting the grant money for you and giving you the money. And that's exactly why foundations don't want to deal with fiscal agents, because if they're going to give you grant money, they want it to go directly to you. So make sure if you're a nonprofit, you get that 501c3. That is critical. Now, the good news is, before it was taking literally 3 to 6 months to get your 501c3 status from the IRS. Now it's taking literally 6 to 8 weeks. So while you're doing your grant research, complete that application and make sure you get that 501c3. If you are a nonprofit, this is not for-profit organizations. Now, look at this slide here. People thought that because we were in the pandemic, there was no money, people stopped giving money, but look, it increased. And guess what? It will increase again in 2022. Look at this number, $20.88 billion available in 2021. That is a lot of money, right? Do you need it all? No, you don't need it all. We don't need all of the $90 billion, right? We just need a little bit. Can you imagine what you would do with just a little bit of $90 billion? So I want you to put into the chat, I just need a little bit. I just need a little bit. I want to hear you say it. I just need a little bit. Can you imagine really what you would be able to do with just a little bit of the $90 billion, right? You don't need it all. We just need a portion of that to be able to open or grow our organizations, right? And stop bootstrapping and stop asking for loans and stop asking family members for fun. Jess, Sheila, yes. Daniel, yes. Candace, just a little bit. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I'm talking about. Martha, just a little bit of the $90 billion. We don't want to be greedy. That's all we're asking for, right? It's just a little bit. Now, we go on to how do you prepare to write grants? Too many people make the mistake that they see the grant application, they start writing and they send it in, and guess what? They get a rejection letter. You have to start preparing to write grants. And the first thing I want you to do is just hone up on those writing skills, right? There's 5 basic writing skills. We're going to forget about the first 4 for now and look at editing and rewriting. I'm a professional editor. I'm a professional writer. And guess what? I swear by Grammarly. Now, I have a wonderful assistant with me, Irene. If you could drop that link into the chat, because I want everybody to do this homework. Grammarly is a free, you're going to hear that word all afternoon, free editing software tool. I'm going to be serving you tea all afternoon, and this is the first cup of tea. Grammarly is a free editing software tool. It will make you a better writer. If anybody uses Grammarly, put into the chat that you use it. And this particular article is going to make you a better writer. Improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. So this is homework for you. When we're done, download this article. It's going to make you a better writer. Thank you, Irene. Now, we're preparing, right? Oh, Sheila says she uses Grammarly. Isn't it like incredible? Documents. You have to get your documents in order. What does that mean? You need your EIN, your employer identification number. If you're a nonprofit, you need that 501c3. Don't use a fiscal agent. If you're a for-profit, you have got to get your articles of incorporation, which is your bylaws, and your state certification, which is your business license, right? I was providing this webinar months ago, and a young lady said, Linda, you are absolutely right, because I was applying for a grant and the competition was so stiff, and I was the only one that was able to get the grant. Why? Because I had my state certification saying that I was able to legally do business in my state. More homework for you. Go to your Secretary of State's website. It's different in every state. Your Secretary of State's website, and make sure that you have a current business license to do business in your state. It may mean the difference as to whether or not you get grant funding. What else do you need? You need your list of board of directors, your staff. Letters of support are really important because organizations want to know that you have support from your community. They could be your vendors, your pastor, your church, community leaders. Give them time to write those letters. That's why they should be ready by the time you start filling out your grant application. The audited financial statement, some grant applications will ask for that. It should be completed by a CPA. Your current operating budget, right? This becomes important even if you are a startup. So if you are a startup, you need to know how much money is it going to take, right, for me to run this business or for me to even start this business. And once you complete that budget, you start to see gaps in it. So maybe you have money for the building, but maybe you don't have money for staff. And if you don't have money for staff, okay, you can say, I want grant money for staff. It will allow you to see what gaps you have in that budget as to what kind of grant funding you need. So even if you're a startup, you need that operating budget. And then list any other funding sources that you have, right? No funder wants to be the only one. So funding sources, even if they are in-kind donations, you want to put them in that application because organizations want to know that there are other foundations and organizations that support you. So other grant funding, other donations, other in-kind donations, absolutely, you want to put in that grant application. Now, we're going to talk about what are the typical grant components that you will see on a grant application, and then we're going to go through each one. Your summary abstract, your mission vision, history, leadership, description of the organization, your statement of need, like your target market, description of your program or your project or your service, community partnerships, outputs, outcomes, impact, your program project staff, your board of directors, your budget, and then sustainability. We're going to talk about each one. And just so you know, because I'm going to be going fast, I've got a lot of information to share. This webinar is being recorded and you will get a replay of it. So let's start with summary. What you need to know about the summary, it is the very first part of that application, but guess what? You're going to write it last. Don't be fooled. You'll see it first, but you'll write it last because it should contain the most compelling components of that grant application. So you'll see it first, write it last. Next is the mission vision. All of you should have a mission statement. That's what are you doing now, your aims, your goals. But do you have a vision statement? Because you're going to be asked for a vision statement on that grant application. What is a vision statement? That's what you would like to have happen in the future if you're meeting your mission, right? So what would you like to have happen in the future if you are meeting your mission? Now, why is the mission so important? Because that is the statement that will align you to your perfect funder. So if your mission is about K through 12 education, you want to make sure that the funder that you go after, the foundation that you're seeking money from, that they also have an interest in K through 12 education. This is how you match up your mission to your potential funder. You want to make sure there's an alignment there. This is the start of you seeking out who would want to give you money. You have to make sure those missions are in alignment. So that's more homework for you. If you don't have a vision statement, make sure you are going to do your homework and create your vision statement. Now, your history. Every organization has a history, even if you are a startup. Why? Because your history is also a part of the impetus for you starting the organization. And I'd like to give the example of a retired principal. She was teaching high school for many, many, many years, and now she wants to open up a tutoring organization that will help those students increase their math and reading. Well, she's new, so you might think, well, she doesn't have a history. She's just starting. But guess what? She's been a high school principal for 20 years. And by her saying that those students were underperforming in math and reading, when she retired, she wanted to start a tutoring organization. So that becomes a part of her history. The fact that she spent all those years teaching and helping to lead the school and seeing the underperformance, that's a part of why she started her organization. So that becomes a part of your history. Next, leadership. That's your executive leadership. That could be your COO, your CEO. Just be sure to include your board, because your board of directors is also a part of your leadership. Next, you're going to describe your organization, especially what has been your track record if you are a seasoned organization of working with the target population, right? And the target population for the principal would be 9th through 12th grade students. You talk about your success rate and your success factors, like what has led you to even be in existence for the number of years, and what has been your impact on the people that you serve. This is all a part of you talking about and describing your organization. Next, we talk about the statement of need, and this is critical. What is the problem that you're addressing? And it doesn't matter what you're doing. There is always a problem. I like to use a restaurant, a bakery. You might think, well, how is a bakery solving a problem? Well, maybe it's a vegan restaurant, and maybe she's solving the problem that there's not enough vegan restaurants and not enough restaurants being able to serve those who are vegan. Or maybe she's just a bakery and she wants to be able to locate in a downtown area, right? And in that downtown area, there has not been any other locations that have even survived. So she wants to be able to locate in that downtown area and help with the economic development of that particular community, right? So that's one of the problems that she is addressing. The lack of successful businesses in that community, or maybe she just wants to be able to help the businesses in the area, because that's going to be her customer, and having them impress their customers because they serve these incredible baked goods, in their meetings, or to help impress their potential clients. So always think of what you're doing in terms of resolving a problem. Let's say you have a service organization and you are in career development and you help those who have either been fired, or maybe they quit and they don't know what the next step is. They don't know if they want to go back into a 9-to-5 or maybe become an entrepreneur. And you're helping resolve the problem of having people with all this talent that's not in the job market, right? That they're not being productive citizens, right? So that's the problem that you're addressing. Always think, whether you have a product or service, of how you go about addressing an issue or a problem. And whatever that issue is how you connect it back to the funder's areas of interest. So if you're in career development, right, make sure that the funder that you're seeking also has an interest in career development. Now, how do you find out about the founder? Well, you can always go to the website, but guess what? 90% of foundations don't have a website. I'll say that again. 90% of foundations do not have a website. So how do you get their information? Well, more tea for you. You go to the 990. The 990 form is a gold mine. Okay, it is a gold mine, right? Because it's going to list personnel, executive leadership, board of directors, but you scroll to the end of that 990, and there's typically a document that will let you know everywhere that foundation has given to. And you look at those organizations and you see if there's a match. If you have an equestrian nonprofit and you see that, yes, they're giving to other organizations that utilize animals for healing, that may be an organization that you want to approach, right? How do you get the 990? Well, you could absolutely pay, right, for membership of an organization, and they give you access to 990s, or more tea, you can get the 990 for free. How do you get the 990 for free? Here's the website. And Irene, if you could drop this website, projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. You go to this website and it will give you the 990 of just about any organization that has filed a 990. The 990 is the tax document, is the tax form for nonprofits. So go to this website, there's more homework, and check out those 990s if you already know like what organization that you might want to seek funding from. Next, your target population. Who are you helping? And women, you cannot say everybody, right? You cannot help everybody. You have to focus on who would best, the word best, be served by your organization. What are the demographics? Is your service geared towards women, gender-based? Is it ethnicity? Are you geared towards African Americans? Is it income? Or are your program geared towards those that are living below the federal poverty line? Maybe it's age. Maybe your organization is geared towards senior citizens. Who is your target population, right? Because that will help you match up to your funder, because you want to make sure if your target population is senior citizens, you want to make sure that you are reaching out to a foundation that also has an interest in serving senior citizens. Or maybe it's geography. Maybe you're laser focused on your local community, right? Either way, you get the best demographics from the census. The census.gov/quick facts, again, a free site where you can really hone in on those demographics. That bakery that wants to locate in the downtown community, she'll be able to get information about literally educational rates of those in the community, the unemployment rate, the kinds of businesses. So definitely don't sleep on the census. It will provide you incredible information about demographics. This is really about telling your story, as I mentioned before. Like, how are you telling your story? Keep in mind, a grant application is you selling your organization to a foundation or a funder. But whatever you do, when you write that application, you don't want to make yourself the hero. You want to make whatever your target population is the center of your story, because that's where the transformation takes place. Think about those students in high school, right? What would they benefit from that tutoring organization? Well, maybe they can get their diploma and go to college or take a trade or go to the military, right? The transformation will take place in those students once they increase their reading and math, right? So you want to focus that application on the transformation that takes place within your target population, right? So we're talking about, how do you write? At the end of the day, when you think about it, those of you who have written grants before, did you really tell your story the best? Did you talk about how your program changed lives or how outcomes were changed, right? Even if it's that bakery, okay, maybe that is like the best bakery in the community. Maybe those cupcakes are the best cupcakes that, people have ever tasted, right? For those of you that have websites, you need to have on your homepage testimonials, the homepage testimonials about your service or your product. And you have to appeal to emotions, right? I can't tell you how many times I've been in grant meetings with foundation directors and we're talking about the organization. But once we show a video about those transformations and testimonials, you can literally see the level of interest change on their faces. And video is just the best way of being able to showcase how you've helped people. And it doesn't have to be expensive, right? Literally, everybody knows, like, I'm an Android person, but if you have that iPhone, it doesn't matter. Have someone put that phone, have your customer put that phone in front of their face and talk into it for a minute about how great your service is, about how it has changed their life, about how that was the best cupcake they've ever tasted in their life. And that video goes on your homepage, right? So don't sleep on videos. Use videos, right? And you can use a link to that video in your grant application, right? The websites become important. I could literally do another webinar on the importance of having a website. If you are going to apply for grants, You need a website. Please don't let people tell you you don't. I've been in this business for 15 years, and I know right now one of the first things grantors do is they go to your website. So if you have a need of a website, I have a phenomenal website designer. She's been designing and developing websites for like 25 years. So let me know if you need someone, but it doesn't have to be costly. Please, I've heard unbelievable rates to develop websites, just crazy rates. No, 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 no. This can be so simply done because you want to showcase what it is that you are presenting to the world. Now, you have a decision to make, though, about your grant. Are you going to ask for operating or program project money? Operating money means you decide where the funds go. You can apply the money anywhere you want. Program project money means you have to apply it to a specific area. Let's say that restaurant wants to start a delivery service, right? And she wants money to start that delivery service. So that's a specific project. Or she just wants operating money so that she can decide where she wants money to go. What you must understand is that you can apply for multiple grants. You should be applying for multiple grants, women. Please, please, please stop just applying for one grant, even for the same item. Let's say you need $20,000 to hire staff and you apply to Foundation One. And you think, well, that's it. Well, you can apply to Foundation Two for the same $20,000 for the same staff. What happens if you get both grants, right? What you're not going to do is give the money back, right? So if you get money from multiple grants for the same item, then okay, you increase the hours of that person that you're hiring, or you hire them full time. You put the money in the same area, but you increase the hours or you increase the output. Please, you should be applying for multiple grants for the same project or program. Okay. So how do you decide? Do you want operating or program project money? It really, really depends on your needs. So really do an assessment of where your greatest needs are. You can apply for both, though. You can apply for operating dollars from one foundation and program project dollars from another foundation. If you need help with the website, I'm going to give you my email address at the end. That is so important, ladies. Oh my gosh, you need a website. Description of your project or service. You're just talking about why you've been successful, right? What is your track record? And if you're new, why is whatever you're using going to be successful? Why is that bakery going to be successful in that particular location, right? Maybe she has a great marketing plan. But whatever you do, however you talk about your service or your project or your overall company, talk about how you are solving a problem. All right, community partnerships. Oh, this is so important. It is going to be on the application. So think about this, especially for you for-profits, because you get nervous when people talk to you about partnerships. You think, oh, I got to give some of my money up. I don't want to give any of my money up. No, 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 no. Partnerships do not have to be about a monetary contract. Organizations within a community can serve as partners, right? Community organizations. Your third-party vendors could serve as your partners, right? This is especially important for new organizations. I'll give you an example. I was writing a grant some years ago for a music program because an urban school was going to teach their third graders the violin. And guess what? We were going to partner with the Cleveland Orchestra, clearly one of the greatest orchestras in the world. They were coming in after school to teach those Black third grade kids the violin. Can you imagine how that looks on a grant application that you're partnering with an organization like the Cleveland Orchestra? So you as women, think about how you can partner with other organizations to help you, all right, provide your service. It could be other universities, women's business organizations. Maybe you can speak at universities. Maybe you connect with women's organizations to talk about the service that you provide. Maybe it's Greek organizations. Maybe it's the YMCA or the YWCA. Think about that bakery, right? She has a partnership with a local event planner, and she has flyers and information out about the event planning service in her store, right? And that event planner uses the bakery, but also provides recommendations of her clients to go to the bakery. So it could be something as simple as being able to recommend in partnership with another organization. Don't ever think it has to be about an exchange of money. It can be, right? But it doesn't have to be. So now we're talking about outputs, outcomes, and impact. And what does that look like? Now you're telling the organization, give me money. If you give me $20,000, this is what I'm going to do with it. Okay. So sometimes you'll be asked for one of the three. Sometimes you'll be asked for all three. So I'll go through all three. Outputs, that's the immediate results. You give me a $20,000 grant, this is what I'm going to do with it. But as a result of the $20,000 grant, what is the outcome going to be? Well, outcomes are changes that happen typically 6 months to a year down the road. You're going to put in that application. Well, as a result of me getting this money in 6 months, this is going to happen. The impact takes a little more time. That's usually a year out, a year to 2 years out, but it's based upon the outcomes, which is based upon the outputs. I'll give you an example. A daycare center wanted $20,000 to open. Now you're writing this in the application because you're forecasting this is what's going to happen. She's saying, you give me the $20,000, we can open and we can serve 100 families and 250 children because we got this great location. Well, as a result of us opening, we predict that in 6 months, we're going to grow by 40%. We're going to add 24/7 services, right? And guess what? As a result of us growing and adding services in a year, this is the impact. 25% of families will experience less stress. Why? Because heck, they can drop their kids off 24/7. Wouldn't you experience less stress? 65% of children will demonstrate improved behavior because we have such a great educational program. And guess what? In 2 years, because we grew, because we added services, we're going to be able to expand to 2 locations. So you see how one relies upon the other. So if you're asked for all three, you have an example. Some applications do, some applications don't. Now, most of you, I'm sure, have heard of SMART goals. You're going to have to put goals. Like, what are your goals for your organization based on the money that you get? SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Now, how do you change a regular goal that you might have into a SMART goal? Because you're going to need to use SMART goals. A regular goal could be, well, I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. Well, that's like a massive, huge goal, right? How do you change that into a SMART goal? I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. You see how I changed the goal to a SMART goal by doing what? I included data and statistics, right? And also you want to use assessment tools. You want to use surveys. Maybe the lady will survey the people in her restaurant so that they can indicate, yes, by using this delivery service, I'm patronizing this restaurant more often. I like SurveyMonkey. There's JotForm. There's many surveys. Be able to use surveys to get data based on whether or not your project or your program or your service is working. Okay. Now, other parts of the application, you want to be able to put in information about who's leading your program or your project. Maybe it's you, maybe it's not you, right? Well, especially those of you who are for-profits, right? You probably haven't updated your bio or your resume in years, right? So what I need for you to do, more homework, right? You want to make absolutely sure that you have an updated resume and an updated bio. And this is important, right? Even for the people that are going to be working for you, that you're putting in charge of some type of organization or some type of program or project within your organization. Why is this important? Accountability. So this is more homework. You want to make absolutely sure that you have those bios and those resumes up to date. All right, budget. This becomes really, really important. So what you need to know is that you should be itemizing your expenses, right? You should be itemizing your expenses. What does that mean? Let's say you need $20,000 for salaries, right? You can't just put on there, I need $20,000 for salaries, right? You want to be able to say, okay, I need $20,000 to pay the salary of an executive director, right? And this salary is based on 6 months work or a year work. You have to be specific, right? Or if you're hiring staff, you want to be able to say, okay, I need to hire 1099 contract workers. Well, what does that look like, right? Maybe it's based on $30 an hour for so many hours a week. You have to be specific, right? The information is going in the budget narrative. The numbers are going in the budget, but the information on how you're using the numbers, that's a part of your budget narrative. Now, sustainability, and this is really a little fun, short, quick activity. So you need to put in that grant application how you are going to survive beyond the grant period. You know that grants are guaranteed. Just because you get grant money in year one doesn't mean you're going to get grant money in year two. No way, right? So you're going to be asked in the application, well, in year two, how are you going to sustain your program, right? So you need to come up with an answer as to how you're going to sustain your program or your company or your service in year two. And I want to do a quick little activity. I want you to think about that high school, right? They got the $20,000 in year one for the grant to pay for the tutoring service. They have to write in that application to the funder. Okay, in year two, let's say we don't get the $20,000. This is how we're going to sustain our tutoring program. I want you to think about how a high school could sustain, right, $20,000 in year two. And I want you to put into the chat. Think about this. A high school, what could a high school do to come up with $20,000 in year two so that they can keep their tutoring program? And I want you to put into the chat. Really think about this. Think about ways in which a high school could really put into an application. Okay, this is how we're going to keep our tutoring program in year two. This is what we're going to do to come up with $20,000. So put into the chat some ways in which you think, right? Exactly, Jasmine. They're going to fundraise. Absolutely, Sheila. They're going to raise money. Maybe it's a talent show. Maybe it's a car wash. Maybe it's a fashion show, right? Or maybe they go out and they seek other sponsorships, right? Oh, Jasmine, that's perfect. Perfect. Like alumni donations. Perfect, right? So this is what you have to do. You have to be creative and come up with creative ways as to how you're going to put in that application that if the grant money is gone, you're still going to be alive, okay? Now, I'm going to take just a second to talk about bid proposals because I know some of you want to be able to apply for contracts that are typically city contracts, could be city, state, federal contracts. This is what you need to know about bid contracts. What you don't want to do is put in the lowest bid. You don't want to underbid. Too many people think, oh, if I put in the lowest amount of money, I'm good. No, because as a contractor, I have an idea as to how much that bid is going to be or should be, or the cost it should be. So if I want somebody to build a fence, I have a good idea that it's going to be $1 million to build that fence. So if I start getting bid contracts from you and you put down $50,000 and I'm knowing it should be $1 million or around that, I know that you're not qualified. You don't have the capacity. What you have to focus on in those bid proposals is your experience with similar jobs or your experience with your staff. Maybe you have a staff, they built 1,000 fences. Maybe you've been building fences for 10 years, right? Your schedule, maybe you've never been able to go over a timeline. Maybe you've always been able to beat your timeline. You have to think about ways in which you can put yourself in a great light without always having it resort to putting in the lowest bid. And some of you may have heard of capability statements. You may have those as for-profit businesses. Just make sure they're no more than 2 pages and talk about your core competencies and your capabilities, right? What are your differentiators, right? Maybe you have the best facility. Maybe you have the best equipment. You want to talk about your past performance, right? And then put in your corporate data. Some of you already have a business plan, right? And you want to start applying for grant proposals. A lot of the information is newer. Maybe you have a grant proposal, but you really need a business plan. Most of the information will be the same on these 2 documents. The only thing that's really different is a marketing plan, right? So business plans require marketing plans, whereas grant proposals usually don't, right? Other than you having to come up with how you're going to get that money in year 2. The executive summary, description, target market, product, services, budget, financial information is usually the same. So if you have one, you can use a lot of that information for the other one. This is really about you getting noticed, about you writing so that you separate yourself from your competition. But what you have to start off with is a mindset of winning. I say this all the time. If you go into grant writing thinking you're not going to get any grants, you're probably not going to get any grants. You really have to go in knowing that you can get money, and you've seen the money is there. There's over $90 billion just from foundations, right? And there's people that look just like you, just like me, getting money every single day. As women-owned businesses, there is so much money available. I know you want to position yourself to help your clients to solve problems, but yes, it's a little bit of work, but it's not the amount of work that you think, because too many of you are still thinking that grant applications are these 200-page dissertations. They are not. There are grant applications, especially for the for-profit ones, that are literally 3 and 4 pages, right? Saw a grant application that was due yesterday for $25,000 for a for-profit. It was a 500-word paragraph, literally a 500-word paragraph. Stop thinking that grant applications are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it. It's the worst thing in the world. I don't have time. You can do this because they're not like they used to be, right? You know that the results that you could possibly get, think about getting $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000, how that will help you. And these are some do's. If you take nothing else away from this conversation, meet with the funder first. I beg of you. It will make the difference as to whether or not you get grant funding. Now, I've been in meetings where I've heard foundation directors say, look, if I get grant applications and no one has contacted me, has called me, has tried to write me, has tried to email me, those are the applications that are going in the garbage. That doesn't always happen. And some foundations don't want you to meet with them, right? They say, fill out the application and send it off, and that's it. But if you have the opportunity, it will make the difference, because that meeting will give you information about the grant that is not on the website. And they will find out information about you that is not on your website, right? I've been in these meetings where if they like you, they will literally guide you as to what to put on that grant application. I've seen it happen too many times. Please meet with the funder first. And also time management. If that deadline is 4:59 p.m. and you put it in at 5:00 p.m., you're going to have a bad day. Okay. Deadline driven. Absolutely. Address every question. If you can't answer the question, never leave it blank unless it's asking you to. Put NA, because for many online portal applications, if you leave something blank, you don't want it to reject the application because they think it's an incomplete application. So just put NA. And of course, definitely have somebody else review that application before you send, because you don't want to put in information that's full of grammatical errors. Okay. Now, what you don't want to use is cookie cutter answers. You don't want to just copy and paste everything from one grant application to the next, because every grant application is different. I love a template, but read every question on the new grant application, because you may need to answer it differently. And also, if you're new to a foundation, don't ask for too much money when you approach them for the first time. Please, no. Now, most grants, they'll tell you how much it is: $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. But many grants, especially community grants, they don't tell you how much money that you should be asking for. You need to know. So when you go in for the first time, don't ask for $100,000, because you're not going to get it. Okay. They don't know that you're fiscally responsible to handle that much money. I usually ask people to go in and ask for anywhere between like maybe $5,000 to $20,000 if they're approaching a funder for the first time. Well, I take a sip. And whatever you do not forget to edit. You don't want to present those grammatical errors. Now, I talked about the importance of meeting with the funder. What do you do? How do you do that? You send them a letter of introduction. You talk about your organization, whatever that target population is, and how it's aligning with that foundation. You're not asking for money. You're asking for a meeting. And in the meeting, you're going to talk about money. Now, you can get a reference for a name, or you can go to the 990 and get a name, or you go to the website and get a name. But then what do? What you're not going to do is send it to info@abcfoundation.org. It's going to go off into the hemisphere and never come back. You need an email address. And ladies, I've been giving you tea. This is the teapot. This is the teapot. GetEmail.io is like one of the greatest inventions ever. It will literally give you the email address of almost anybody that works for an organization or a company in the world. I use it all the time. I get emails from people in Italy, Germany, you name it, right? Because you want an email address, right? You want to know exactly who you're sending that application to. And what's fantastic, they give you like maybe the first 10 to 15 emails for free. That's that word again, for free. So please, thank you so much, Irene, for dropping that gem into the chat, because whatever you do, you need this particular website to find email addresses of people that you're sending information to. Now we're getting to grant research. How do you find these grants? Well, the Foundation Directory Online is the leading source of information about foundations and grants in the country, right? They give you the list of funders and companies. Instrumental, and they're about $50 a month. So Instrumental, they're more expensive. They're about $200 a month, but they give you the name of the funder and the grant, right? And they give you the $9.90 and a lot of other information, but they're pretty pricey at $200 a month. Grants.gov, that's the single source of federal grants, right? If you're a religious organization or a church, the Lilly Foundation, that's the largest funder of religious organizations. GrantGopher.com, educational funds, right? GrantWatch, I love because they have a lot of great last minute grants. If you're a minority organization, UrbanAwarenessUSA.org, and I'm going to add one. Grant Station, they do such a good job of providing different funding for, I think it's grantstation.com and not .org, but you can go to both and see which one it is, because they also have tons of grants for for-profit organizations. So that's one of the ways in which you seek information. So for example, this is the homepage of Grant Watch. What you're going to do when you go to these portals, because right now you're looking for grants, right? You put in what kind of organization are you? Business, nonprofit, individual, the type of grant you want. Do you want a federal grant, a foundation grant, a private foundation grant? Again, that target population, right? That's important. What is your subject? What is it that you're serving? Is it education, business and industry, right? Are you looking for national or local funds? And I know I have a lot of international people on the webinar. This is where you put in where you're looking for funding. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you put in that country, right? And these portals will give you grants are available in your particular country. So these are global sites, right? You don't have to be here in the US, right? And so you put all this information in here and you push a button and literally up pops a list of grants for you. Now, this is some information that you want. I told you I had a list of available grants. These are grants. So the helloalice.com, as a small for-profit business, you have to sign up for helloalice.com, because that's one of the largest portals that will provide you with grants for for-profit organizations as women. Facebook has a grant. Amber Grants for Women, $25,000 every single month. National Association for Self-Employed Growth Grants. For women of color, there's a MasterCard and a Visa grant program. FedEx has a grant. If you have a program that deals with wellness or health and wellness, Women's Sports Foundation, right? You want to go on the grantsforwomen.org site, because they have a list of grants for women. Let's say you don't want a grant. Let's say you want an investor. 37angels.org, that is a list of female angel investors that all they do is invest in women-owned small businesses up to $150,000. That's a lot of money. The Tory Burch Foundation, I Fund Women, you want to make sure you're signed up there. Cartier has a women's initiative. Also, before I go on, just know that you don't need employees. Like, there are organizations that will give to you if you have an all volunteer staff. So don't think you need W-2 employees or 1099 employees in order to get grants. If you have an all volunteer staff and you're making an impact, you can get grant money. Now tell me, when you think of banks and money, what do you think about? Put into the chat. What do you think about when you think about banks and money? Banks and money. Tell me what you think about banks and money. Put into the chat. When you think about banks and money, what do you think about? Banks and, thank you, Janelle. Banks and money. Banks and money. Put into the chat. There's a delay with webinar. Oh, yes, Shirley. Loans, Martha. Well, guess what? Banks are some of the largest providers of grants, not loans, grant money, free grant money. You have to know where to go. Don't go to your branch manager, because they're going to try to get you to take out a loan, right? you need to find the vice president of the bank. Make sure it's a bank with a nice footprint in your area that, they have several branches and you see that they are really involved in community development. Go to the vice president, find out who that is, and apply for a grant. Banks are all about community and investment, and you as a business, you are investing in the community where you are located. But you have to go to the right person, right? A young lady was on my webinar and she heard me talk about banks and she found a VP of her bank. And it doesn't have to be your own personal bank. You do not need a bank account with these banks that you apply for grants from, okay? You do not need an account. So she looked at some of the banks that had a really good footprint in her area. She applied for a $2.3 million grant, okay? Don't sleep on banks. These are some women business organizations that you need to be aware of. Grantsforwomen.org. Again, you go there and they have tons of grant opportunities. And I think I have some women on with me, Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs. That is a Facebook group, right? Of over 650,000 women entrepreneurs. I'm going to say that again. Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs is a Facebook group of over 650,000 women entrepreneurs. You need to be a part of that group. I'm a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners, the Cleveland chapter. That's a great organization, the ABWA, the Female Entrepreneur Association. The SBA has a women's organization, Ladies Who Launch. They just had a grant out, Ladies Who Launch. And where we have the Women's Business Centers of Ohio here, you have a similar organization in your state. I'm so glad you stay with me. Don't go anywhere because we're going to do a great Q&A. I told you before, I've been writing grants for 15 years. And what I have found is that there's a process. And I wanted to not just help individual organizations. I want to help so many organizations to be able to get this grant money because it's available. It is out there. We saw that it's out there. So what did I do? I created a grant writing course. I did. And it's based on me being able to get $17 million. And this course is literally your step-by-step path to funding. Okay. Because I know you want to be impactful. I know you want to stop bootstrapping, stop asking people for money, stop digging in your purse. Okay. You want free grant money. $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 because it is available. This program will literally help you write grants in half the time. Like literally, it will cut your grant writing time in half. But what I don't want you to do is do it alone. I want you to do this in a community of other people, other women who are also finding and writing grants, because that way you can do it better and faster. And you want to do it the right way. Right? I give you the best grant research techniques. I show you how to find funders who literally want to give you money. Okay. I show you how to find funders. I show you how to write every single part of the narrative. We didn't even talk about the LOI, right? The letter of inquiry. What are you going to get? 12 modules, 35 lessons. And I know people learn differently. So I start with an introductory video and then I give you your lesson and your task. And it's fun because you're not writing because of me, you're writing about your organization. You're writing about what you're passionate about. So it should be fun. And I have planners and workbooks and these fun quizzes. And yes, of course, I give you actual grant examples because I've been writing for 15 years. So every grant example in this course won money. Okay. Every example won money. And I do something nobody else is doing. I literally give you a list of now it's 450, over 450 funding organizations. Literally, you go through the modules, you're ready. You're ready to get money, right? And too many founders of these courses and writers that you buy the course and they disappear. No, I'm here to help you. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a servant leader. I'm here to help you. I have a private Facebook group that is phenomenal. If anybody is in that Facebook group, please give yourself a shout out because we help each other in the Facebook group. And I have professional grant writers in the group because they took the course and now they write grants. And I've seen people ask for help. Like, can you review this part of my grant? And I've seen people say, yes, absolutely. I'll review it for you. And then you get 1 hour of group coaching. And let me tell you, the last one was Monday. It was on fire. It was on fire because in that group coaching, I am your coach. I don't assign you to anybody else, right? You come into this group coaching and you get help. I'm trying to take you to another level with your organization. And Monday, it was on fire. It was on fire. I'm telling you, it was on fire. And all of the replays are in the Facebook group. So what are we talking about? This is what the course is worth. I've had it audited 3 times now. So the 12 modules were $35.49. The videos are worth $5.99. Just the list of funders are worth over $500. And of course, I give you a workbook. You have an entire workbook, all of the lessons. You know how important planners and grant trackers are because you need to keep track of when you're applying for grants. But that's not what you're paying. It's worth $5,000. The normal price is $997. It is the first day of Women's History Month. Women, ladies, yes. The course is $497, but guess what? You're not even paying $497. You're not even paying $497. You're making one payment. I know this sounds crazy. You're making one payment of $247. That's not a month. People literally ask me, Linda, I need a payment plan because I can pay you a month. It's $247 a month. No. It's one payment and you are done. It's one payment of $247. And guess what? And this is something I rarely ever do, but it's Women's History Month. If you need 2 payments, I give you 2 payments of $137.50. And guess what? I don't drip my course. Like some people drip little pieces of their course. You pay the $137.50 now. You get the whole course. You get everything. It's online. You get everything right now. So you don't have to wait. But you have to use this particular code, right? And it will give you the 50% discount, right? 50% discount. But guess what? It's only for 3 days. It's only for 3 days, but the course never expires. So I want to make sure if you could drop the link, Irene, if you could drop the link, please, into the chat so that they have the link to buy the course, right? They need the link to buy the course into the chat. Irene, if you could put the link to buy the course into the chat. And that is the LaPav Writing School, Thinkific, /courses/ grant writing for non-writers. That is the link. And yes, it's an excellent deal. So Irene, if you could please drop the link into the chat. That is what people are asking for. And yes, so the course never expires. So that's the question I'm getting. The course never expires. Look, I'm a small business, right? I know stuff happens, right? You can buy a course and think you're going to start the course in a week, and guess what? No, it doesn't happen. Irene, could you put the code, because they're going to need the code. Could you put the code into the chat, please? They're going to need this code because the course is going to say $497. And at the end of the 12 modules, you have written literally a complete proposal. And I'm literally giving you over 450 organizations, right, for you to start. Could you put the code, Irene, into the chat? This code, MAR250OFF, they're going to need that code because when you go into the website, you're going to see the $497 because that's what people buy it for. But I'm giving it to you for half off, but you're going to need the code. Okay. 3 days. That's it. And it expires. So this is what you're going to see when you go to the link, the $497. I know it's like a crazy deal. I know it's a crazy deal. $497, and you use the code and it will literally take off the $250, right? Or if you just want to do it based on 2 payments, you can do 2 payments as well, right? So this is what you're going to see where it says have a coupon. That's where you're going to put in that coupon, right? So that is where you put in the coupon. Okay. So that's important. That's where you put in the coupon, and then it's going to take off the $250. And also, if you want like an Ask the Expert session with me, like 1-to-1, that's normally $495 an hour, but you can get it for $195 an hour if you get it when you buy the course. So that's something extra. All right. So why is it important for you to start writing grants right now? Because we're in the first quarter, and there are organizations where literally when their money is up, their money is up. So you don't necessarily want to wait until the summer or the fall to start writing these grant applications. Why? Because they're on rolling applications, which means you can submit the application at any time, but that doesn't mean the money is going to be available. organizations like Walmart and Verizon, they'll tell you, get that application in, because when the money is gone, the money is gone. So please start now. Don't wait. I don't want you to be in this same position a month from now, wondering, like, I heard about some grants, I don't know how to get grants. This is your opportunity. 247, literally, it's tax deductible and it's self-paced. So I don't force you through the course. You go at your own pace. So Irene, if you could, thank you so much for putting the code in again. These are just some testimonials. Like Kim said, the program is amazing. Carla said that she's so glad that she signed up for the course. And I talked to you about meeting with the funder, like literally just last week, a client was able to meet with the funder after 30 minutes. I kid you not, after 30 minutes, they walked away with a $30,000 grant. They didn't know anything about this organization before they met, but those missions aligned, and it was a great 30 minutes, and he walked away with $30,000. Kelly took the course. She just wrote a grant for $75,000 for a colleague of hers. And then she wrote a grant for herself and got it, right? I mean, literally, this is happening within the last month, right? And then Linda, this is amazing. She wanted to become a professional grant writer. So she took the course, and now she's a grant writer, and she is literally helping other organizations, which is just fantastic. So definitely, I want you to be a part of this community, and I want you to get this grant money. So really, I want you to put into the chat right now, I am ready to get grant money. I don't want you to wait. I don't want you to think, okay, I'm going to put this off. And then a month from now, you're in the same place. You're still looking for grants. You've heard people have grants. You've seen people, you're thinking like, how did that person get a grant? You know, and I don't have a grant, right? Please, please, please invest in yourself. Is $247 with this discount coupon for 3 days. And 3 days is that you get the free coaching, you get the Facebook group, you get the entire course, right? And you can do it for literally $137.50. $137.50. All right. So what I'm going to do is to start the Q&A. Yes, Ebony. Yes, Candace. Yes, Lynette. Yes, Martha. Yes, Janelle. Yes, Kenya. Yes, Shirley. Yes, I'm ready to get grant money. Like, we're ready. It's March 1st, right? It's Women's History Month. Make your own history, right? Make your own history. Get this money that's out here. But please let me help you do it. Whatever you do, don't do this by yourself. I was on the telephone. I can't make this up. I had a telephone conversation yesterday with a young lady. She had been scammed. Right? There's so many scammers out there when it comes to this grant money. Why? Because the grant money is free, and you hear free grant money and people just come out of the woodwork trying to take your money. And they're not. I told you there's a difference between a professional grant writer and somebody that writes grants. If you're going to write these grants, please have help. Let me serve as your coach. I've been doing this for a long time. And between the Facebook group and the group coaching, I will make sure you stay on the right track, right? Because we need the money, but there's a process, and I want to make sure you stay on the right track, right? So I'm going to start, let's see. I'm going to start with the questions. Put your questions into the chat. I'm going to go to the chat, and I'm going to start at the beginning because I know some of you have some questions along the way, and I'm going to answer some of those questions as we go through, but I want to go through the first ones. So if you need, okay, I'm going to put this email address in here. Actually, I'm going to put 2, and I want you to make sure you put these on your safe senders list, because you'll probably get the replay from one of these email addresses. So it's hello@grantwritingfornonwriters.com. So those 2 email addresses I just put in there, put those in your safe senders list. And then if you need website help, send an email to one of those email addresses, and I will give you the information. I want to go through the questions. Yes, so the course never expires. It never expires. And it's 247. That's one payment. That's it. You don't pay anything else. And if you want to split it up, you can. It's 137.50 if you split it up. And no, you don't wait to pay it in full. If you do the two payments, you don't wait to pay it in full. You don't wait to pay it in full. You will get the course after the first payment of 137.50. Absolutely, you will. All right. So yes, the link is in there. So everybody should see the link now. Everybody should see the link. Can you do a deposit today? You can do the 137.50 today. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. You can do the deposit today. There's only two payments, right? 137.50. So yes, you can pay that today and have access to everything, right? So are there funds for travel businesses? So what I need to tell you now, I get this question all the time. Is there a grant for this? This course will answer those questions because you will be able to research for your industry. So yes, there's a grant for people who have travel businesses. Absolutely. You will get a replay because I know there was a lot of information. You'll get a replay in your email. All right. The email, I will give you the email addresses again. They're asking for the email addresses again. I will give you the email addresses and put these in your safe senders list because you are going to grant writing for nonwriters.com. You're going to get the replay from probably one of those two. So make sure you use those. So there are grants for food truck businesses. Yes. And keep in mind, so what you want to do, you don't want to just ask for $100,000 for a food truck because you're not going to get it. What part do you need? You want to break it down. So do I need money for the stove? Do I need money for the initial investment? So you want to go to different organizations and ask for the money, but you're not coming to one organization and asking for it all. All right. Okay, I'm being told that the discount code is not. So the emails, yes, the emails are in there. So I'm being told that, okay, we can't have that the discount code is not working. So make sure you have the right code. It's MAR 250 OFF, right? And that's MAR 250 OFF. That's why I have everything out in front of me. What I want to make sure that you're not doing, these are all lower caps, okay? All lower caps. So make sure you put in all lower caps, right? And so it's going to be a 50% discount, and it should take it off literally like immediately. It's a 50% discount. So it should be 50% off of the course. It should take it off immediately, but I want to make sure that some people put in different larger caps. So make sure you're not putting in a larger cap. Make sure they're all lower caps. And it's MAR, right? It's MAR 250 OFF. MAR 250 OFF, right? And that should work. So try it again. If it didn't work for you for the first time, just try it again. Okay. And that should take 50% off the price of the course. All right. So let me know if that worked. All right. Let me see if there are any other questions. All right. So the emails are posted. So the emails are right with the rest of the chat. So they're there. So let me know if the rest of you can see the emails. So is there an education grant to apply to secure the course? So when you apply for grants, you can certainly apply for grant funding for your educational purposes. And this is an educational course. That's why it's tax deductible. All right. property investing startups. So you might want to look at investors, right? You might want, it depends on what you're doing with the property, right? So let's say you're investing in a property that's going to turn into a home for the shelter for the homeless, or it just depends on what you're doing with the property, because that will help you determine where you're looking for funding. So let's say you want to invest in a property, you want to turn it into a shelter for the homeless. That means that you're going to be able to search for grants that provide money that help the homeless. So it all depends on what you're doing with the home. All right. So I'm not sure why. Can everybody else see the email addresses that I'm putting in there? It's lpv@lapov.com. I see that one in there. I see the hello@grantwritingfornonwriters.com. They're in the chat. So I'm looking at them. Toya, there are millions of dollars of grants for veterans. Oh my gosh, for veterans organizations, for profit and nonprofit. You're in a phenomenal space. You're in a phenomenal space, right? Because there is so much money for veterans organizations. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Someone's saying they can't see the link. So look in the chat. Look into the chat for the link. Irene, could you put the link in again? Could you continue to put in the link, please? And the code, because people are saying they can't see the link. So if you could just continue to put in the link and the code at the same time, and that way people will have it available. Yes, Toya, absolutely. Absolutely. There is absolutely money for veterans organizations. So I'm hoping that I see you in the Facebook group. I'm hoping I see you in the next group session, because this money is available, and for a little bit of money, for literally $247, one payment, or you can split them, $137.50 if you want to do two payments. You don't need a code if you want to split the payments. You don't even need a code if you want to do the $137.50. So as I mentioned, you're going to see, I'm going to try to pull up this slide for you again so you'll see what it looks like when you go in here. This is what the page will look like. Oh, here it is here. When you get to the $497, if you want to pay the $497 and get the half off, you hit that, and then it will take you to the order page. But if you want to just get the payment plan, it's just 2 months, $137.50. Click the drop down arrow next to the $497, and that little menu that says 2 by $137.50 will drop down, and you hit purchase. Okay. And then this is the order page here. Have a coupon. You'll put that coupon in. If you want to just make the one payment of $247, you put in the coupon, it'll take 50% off, and you are ready to go. And I will see you in the Facebook group. So if you get the course, you will get 3 emails. 3 emails. One email will have the Facebook link in it. And you hit that link and you will get an invite to come into the Facebook group. It is fabulous, because again, I don't want you to do this alone. I want you to get this money, but I just, please invest in yourself. We're at the beginning of Women's History Month. Please do this for yourself. Don't just, whatever you do, move forward. Don't be in the same position at the end of Women's History Month. Don't be in the same position. Move your organization forward. You know that there are women getting money. Literally last week, $30,000. A week before, it was $35,000. Last month, it was $75,000. Using these techniques, I'm here to coach you, right? I'm not disappearing when you buy the course. I just want you to do it for you, really. I want you to, no, Toya, you don't have to be. Oh my gosh. And you are serving veterans. There's no way you have to be alone in this. A client that I've been working with for 3 years now is a veterans organization. He's gotten so much money. So much money. So much money for what he's doing to help veterans. There is no reason. No, Irene, the code is not in all caps. The code is how you had it before, in lower caps. It is MAR 250OFF. I'm going to put in the code. So this is the right code here. It is MAR 250OFF. That's the code that you put in. So that is the code, MAR 250OFF. It is not all caps, it is lower cap. And so that's probably why it's not working. I'm so sorry. It's lower cap. Okay. So make sure that you put that in, and that is what should work. And I literally just made sure that that is the right code, and it's in there. So MAR 250OFF in lower caps. That is what is working. So are there any other questions? Let's see. Home child care. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked me that, Anita. I presented to a group of home health care owners. They own either child care centers in their home or in other buildings or daycare centers. There are millions of dollars worth of grants for those who have home child care or home health care businesses, for profit, okay, for profit and nonprofit. And one of the things I did for them was I created a list of grants. So if you want customized grants, I can create that. But they wanted a list of grants, and there were hundreds of grants. So you're in a phenomenal space with the home child care. Okay, a phenomenal space. So absolutely, absolutely. Please, please, please come join a community that's going to help you, because that is important. So yes, daycare centers, Alicia, absolutely. Not only that, but there's a young lady. So for those of you, because there seems to be a couple of people in daycare centers and home health care centers. I know a young lady who's done extremely well. She has numerous daycare centers, and she actually serves as a coach to other women who have daycare centers. So definitely join. And I really see myself as a resource for you, because sometimes it's not just about the grant. So in the coaching on Monday, there was a young lady that created a product. She had a patent for a product, right? And in the product, she was able to get the patent, but she wasn't able to bring it to market. I happen to know a young lady who is considered the QVC queen, and she's had inventions on QVC, HSN, and she's a Shark Tank consultant. And I did an email introduction between her and the Shark Tank consultant. So once you become a part of this community, I'm here to help you, right? I'm here to help you. And this is a small amount of money for you to get my coaching within the group and the Facebook group, and then everything. The list of 400 funders that provide money, like that's you. If you ask me to give you a customized list, that's $750, right? You're getting everything for $247 or $137.50. So absolutely, there are so many grants for daycare centers. So let me see if there's any other questions, and I will wrap it up. All right, I'm just going back through to see if there are any other questions in the Oh, good. Okay, so there's a few in the Q&A. So one young lady has a conference center for pastors and church leaders in Liberia. So it's not difficult. When you go to your grant search portal, it can be Grant Watch, Grant Station, whichever one you're going to use. Make sure you put in faith-based organizations. There are millions of dollars in grants for faith-based organizations, right? And remember, I said the Lilly Foundation is one of the largest funders of money for faith-based organizations. They literally just allotted $23 million for Black churches. So you have to search. You have to put in the fact that you're faith-based and put in Africa or Liberia as the area where you want to search. All right. Yes, I'm ready to get grant funding. That's what I want to hear. So as a startup, how do I access this grant easily? And by startup, I mean start and grow a business. So you have to do research, right? And I gave you a list of like 6 or 7 different portals where you research to find the money. There are organizations that only provide money for startups. So just because you're a startup, don't think that you can't get grant money. There are literally organizations that provide grant funding for startups. Go to the portals, right? Put in your information and click the button and you will get a list of grants. However, in the course, again, in the course, it comes with a list of 400 different funders, right? I believe that was it for, are there grants for youth emancipating out of foster care? So again, this course will answer your question. There's a grant for almost anything. There's a grant for almost anything. You have to do your research. So for that particular question, you're working with youth. So you want to look for grants that deal with foster care, youth development. And there are many grants. All right. Mental health agencies there's literally, I'm saying millions. Mental health agencies, there's billions. There's billions of dollars of grants available for that particular mental health sphere. Again, you'll get the replay that shows you how to do the grant research, and you do the grant research. Because there's grants available for almost anything. You have to do the research to make sure. Oh, the EIN, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old your EIN is. It doesn't matter. You can still use that EIN to get a grant. Absolutely. All right. So I think I have gone through the Q&A that's in the Q&A. I've gone through the Q&A that's in the chat. So I am really, really hoping I see you in the Facebook group. And I'm hoping I see you in the next group coaching session. You get a welcome in the Facebook group. You get to talk about your organization, because guess what? This is what's so great about the Facebook group. Organizations help each other. Like, for example, financial services industries, they'll say, was there anybody else in financial services? Because, let's try to write these grants together. It is just a phenomenal community, because I don't want you to do this alone. I want you to have help. And me serving as your group coach will keep you on the right track. Okay, it'll keep you on the right track. Because again, I'm here to help you. So one more time, Irene, if you could put in the link and the code, I'm going to put it in again too, so that everybody has it. It should absolutely be working. I want to make sure it's working. So if it's working for everyone, the Facebook group, you will get information for as soon as you join the course. You'll get an email where you click the link, and then you will ask to be accepted into the Facebook group. So you'll get that information. Okay, you'll get that information. Someone says one of my design clients is a church in Africa. It's amazing how many people connect who are part of this course. It's really amazing. It says I'm missing a question from Nika. Let's see. Let me make sure I get Nika's question. Let me see if it's in the Q&A. Nika. No, not in the. Let me go back to the chat and see if I don't see a question from Nika in here. So if you want to put your question into the chat again, I will answer it, and then I will wrap it up, because I know a lot of you have to go. And let me see if there's any other questions. So hopefully you're ready. Investing yourself is 247. I'm here to help you, because I don't want you to go down the wrong path or just really spend time spinning your wheels. I talked to a lot of people who they've heard there are grants available, but they're spinning their wheels. They don't know how to get them. And I'm here to help you get the grant, right? And you'll get the replay, which is very helpful, which literally teaches you how to do the research. All right. I don't see the question. I must be missing it, so I do apologize. I asked her question. Her question was a startup. So there are grants that are especially for startups. Okay. So if you join, you ask that question in the Facebook group, and I will give you a couple of funders that I know specifically focus on startups, okay? Because they are available. All right. I want to thank everybody. I know you could have been anywhere else with me. Thank you for coming on. So yes, you can see that it doesn't matter if you're in the US or you're a global organization, you can get grant money. It is available. We've got just from foundations, $90 billion. The money is there. People in my group that have taken the course are getting it constantly, using the resource, using the course, which is very easy. Self-paced, never expires, $247, or you can start $137.50. If that's what you've got now, you get the whole course. 2 payments, you get the whole course. You can start right now. All right. So I thank everybody. Look for the replay. Okay. Look for the replay. Make sure you put the information into your safe senders list, those 2 emails, because I want to make sure you get the replay. All right. Thank you all so much for being with me. I want you to have a blessed day, and hopefully I will see you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.